I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. We're going to explore the Paramount Center for the Arts, and its new executive director just joined in December, John Loesser. And John Loesser's here today to tell us all about what's going to be happening at the Paramount Center. You're new here, but you're certainly not new to the theater, and you're certainly not new to show business, as our guests will find out if they haven't figured out from the name Loesser. It's an illustrious name in the theater.
Yeah, that's true.
But coming up to the Paramount Center, what do you envision for the future?
Well, for me, because I've only recently gotten there, part of it is learning the community, learning from the constituents of the area what they really want. And I have some instincts from the standpoint of what I see the Paramount capable of doing. But I'm going to take my time and really sort of learn the neighborhood first.
The neighborhood, location, is that an interesting factor? There are performing arts centers, of course, in Westchester, excellent ones. Certainly we know the Emlyn and SUNY Purchase and theater groups, and there are so many, and here is Paramount. What is, geographically, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I really don't think there's a conflict. I think that they're all good for the people in Westchester and surrounding area.
But you're further north, of course.
We're further north, and there's a lot of small communities that are in between us, so to speak. My experience in the Hudson Valley, and I've had some experience, is that a lot of these towns sort of focus where the performing arts centers are.
And you have some programming that I assume was done even before you got there, and now you're developing your own off into the future.
Right. Actually, over the last few weeks, I've been going in and out of conferences in New York, doing the booking for next season. We have a few shows left in our season for this year, and then pretty much it's a whole new ball game starting in the fall.
So starting in the fall, it's John Loesser's baby, right?
Well, I see us doing some series, doing some music events, jazz, certainly classical, maybe even some Broadway treats, that special shows that may not usually tour, but we're capable of doing in peak skill and yet not conflict with New York City.
You've got such a vast experience in theater. You've been in the consulting business for the last year or so. Consulting to what?
Well, I've sort of have a reputation of helping struggling theaters, and always I'm working with theaters that want to try something new, whether it's turning professional, or they need to know how to do a subscription, or simply just understand their demographic. Mm-hmm. So I work around the country to do that type of thing. And
prior to that, you were based in Orlando?
I've been based in Orlando, where I was actually producing about 27 shows a year out of a theater complex down there.
Is it tough to book? Is it tough to find the type of programs that fit the audience?
Well, it is. In all honesty, there are thousands of shows, events out there that are certainly available to come into a performing arts center. Mm-hmm. One agent alone may have as many as 200-300 acts. Columbia Artists, for instance, must be over 1,000. And to pick the ones that you believe your patrons will want, should see or hear, it takes some paying attention to who your constituents are, and also learning what's good theater or art or music or what have you.
Do you have any plans to do your own producing and developing, packaging your own?
Not for the moment. This is a presenting theater, and I would rather stick to that for the time being. If it looks like it's something that we should do there, then we certainly are capable of doing it, because I've got some experience in that.
Yes. But at this point, you're just looking to give a good balance and to reach the right audience. How do you feel about duplicating what is being done, say, at SUNY Purchase or at the Emlyn or Stanford, which isn't too far either? I see that they do have some things that are appearing at both of them.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I mean, first of all, we all need to communicate so that we're not hurting each other. Unfortunately,
Christopher Beach, I know, and David Watson at the Emlyn, and all of whom, of course, have been on this program, and you have that relationship.
Yes, and when we go to book our seasons, we usually talk to each other. Now, because this is my first season at this theater, I intend to spend a lot of time on the phone with those people and to make sure that we're not colliding. If there's a show that's strong, we can all do it. If it's a show that's not so strong, we may have to give each other room.
The theater itself, the theater is landmarked.
Yes.
It's been in existence since...
well, it was built in the 1930s.
1930s.
Great movie palace.
Movie palace.
Yeah.
And it's owned by...
well, it's owned by the city. It was sort of, for lack of better terms, resurrected in the early 80s. And it's been presenting live performances and film since the early 80s.
And it's 15 years now that it's been doing the sort of presentations that you're involved with now.
Absolutely.
I was looking over the brochure that you have, and of course this is the current season. I see that Alvin Ailey, January 17th.
Right, we've got the Ailey Ensemble on the 17th, and we're going to do a show called Mardi Gras with
what is that?
The Dirty Dozen. Well, there are New Orleans sort of modern band, so to speak, that does a mix of jazz and funk and R&B.
In February 21st.
Yes, that's the 21st.
Yeah.
And then in March, on March 7th, we're going to have a group called Solus. They're a traditional Irish group. They're quite good, and it's around St. Paddy's Day or close enough, and we hope to celebrate with that show.
Peekskill is so easy to get to, I think, from anywhere in the up county or down county. It's really so close, and I think the location is excellent, and of course with the support of the city and the support, I'm sure, of a very good board, that you could have an opportunity to really do some interesting things. It could be very exciting for you.
It is. I mean, I was very happy when I was offered this position and took it immediately. And what's interesting is that I had been here as a child. I used to play with my cousin in Depew Park there when I was, really young. This was in the 50s, so... At any rate, it's sort of a family thing that we've come back there.
Talking about the family, you really were kind of born into show business. Was your father, of course, was Frank Loesser, the brilliant. Well, you tell me. I'm not going to tell you, but I'll touch on Guys and Dolls and Most Happy Fella and Where's Charlie,
right?
And How to Succeed. I'm the Pulitzer Prize winner.
Yeah, that was that's his Broadway shows. What a lot of people don't really know is that he wrote well over 1,000, pop tunes.
I know. I didn't know it was 1,000, but I know that I knew of him as a pop tune writer before he got into the theater.
I mean, what's sort of amazing in his career is that it goes back to, well, when he was in the Army, he wrote Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition and Ballad of Roger Young and What Do You Do in the Infantry, and that, he went into Hollywood and won Academy Awards for things like Baby It's Cold Outside. And
a lot of people don't know that he wrote Thanks for the Memory, Bob Hope's theme.
That's right, or that he and Hoagie wrote Heart and Soul, which is quite a song.
Now, he wrote lyrics primarily at first?
Early, he wrote lyrics primarily, and by the time he got to Where's Charlie, he was doing both music and lyrics.
And of course, you're really born into show business. Your mother was a producer.
My mother was a producer. My stepmother, who's Jo Sullivan, a leading lady.
Of course.
Most Happy Fella is the family show. My mother produced it, my father wrote it, and my stepmother starred in it.
It was kind of a natural thing for you to get into the business, wasn't it? Oscar Hammerstein III, when he was on this program, said, the whole family's in the business, the family business. That happens, I think. But you're not a performer, are you?
No, I'm, well, first when I grew up, I thought this is what everybody did. I mean, I didn't know there was any other kind of work. At any rate, no, I've always stayed on the opposite side of the stage. For me, my great thrills are living vicariously through the artists I present or the shows I produce.
That's an interesting comment, vicariously. When they perform and the audience reacts, of course, performers tell me all the time that they feel the audience, they sense the audience.
Yes.
The other night I was at the Emlyn where a wonderful cabaret performer, K.T. Sullivan, was on. and the audience was absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. Absolutely unbelievable. The reactions were so great. And even if you can't see the audience while the lights are blinding you on the stage, you do feel them.
Yeah.
This is not only in cabaret, but also even if you're doing a straight play, you feel the audience.
Oh, you do. I mean, when I'm producing, one of the tricks I use is I put a thermometer on the stage, and depending on the performance, the actors watch the thermometer, and if the audience gets excited, they'll see it go up. It's a cute trick.
You say you put it on stage?
You put it on stage where the audience can't see.
The audience
the actors can, and and whether or not it's really going up or not, they feel that energy from the audience, and it's quite important.
That's an interesting comment, and every performance is different. They tell me
everyone. That's the beauty of live performance, is that you can't have the same one over and over again.
But you, as the producer, how do you sense the reaction of the audience? Of course, the same show can have a different reaction from two different audiences.
Absolutely, and I don't watch the show. I watch the audience, and that gives me the indicators from the standpoint of how well it's going.
What do you see?
I see their intensity. I see if they're focused on what's happening on stage, then they should be going with it, whether it's a comedy or a drama or music or what have you. The more focused they are to that stage, the less restless they become, the higher energy that pours out of it.
Is it true that a lot of coughing indicates that an audience is not with it?
It can be.
Depends on the season, I suppose.
Yeah, really. I've been in some audiences where they were very restless, and you can tell. You can tell how well the performance is going by that fact.
One of the saddest things to me is to see after the intermission that there are empty seats.
Yes.
That people left and just are making a commentary. I remember seeing something, and I won't mention where it was, that did it in 3 acts. It was an old show.
Right.
And after the first act, I was ready to leave, but my wife said, no, we have to stay. So we stayed for the second act, which I partially slept through, and then left after the second act. A good play. Right. Maybe a little too old, but badly done, and the audience was very restless, and there were a lot of empty seats, and that's sad, I suppose. How do you feel when something it says I made a bad judgment, or what does it do to you? You talk about vicariously. You feel the pain.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe an example of that is not so long ago I produced a production of Harvey, which is an old theater piece. Sure. It was a film with Jimmy Stewart, etc. And I loved the piece.
Frank Fay on
the
stage.
Yeah, exactly. And I had forgotten how old a piece it was. It just had, to me, it was just a favorite in my heart. And I produced it. And what happened was that the audience that came to it, they didn't understand it because of its genre when it was written. So it did not fare well, and I think those things happen. It's rare that a piece that's, unless you do something very different with it, can make it through a lot of generations and still maintain. I mean, Shakespeare was a genius at it. Yes. There aren't too many who have been
able to do that.
Yes.
I do want to get into some of the thinking that goes into putting together a program, because I know you're busy at that. But first, I do want to remind our viewers that we're talking about the Paramount Center for the Arts in Peekskill, and my guest today is the executive director, John Loesser, who's got some wonderful ideas of what's going to be happening there in the future, and to make this a great place to go to. So when you're putting together your program, you're talking about the fall, and you talk about the fact that there are many artist representatives who submit things to you.
Yes.
Do you also seek some that maybe aren't submitted to you?
Oh, absolutely. There are shows. I'll give you an example of a show that the theater hasn't done yet. I know has been around. And something that I think would be fun for the people of Peekskill in the area, and that's the Flying Caramount Sauce.
Oh, yes.
And I know that Bardavon's done them. When I ran UPAC in Kingston, I used to do them. So, I mean, they're familiar to a lot of people.
Yes, they are.
I find them to be timeless, and I think that I'd like to see them at the theater. So I'm looking for shows similar to that, as an example.
Do you also get submissions of people you've never heard of and who send you a tape or a video or something?
Thousands. There are so many artists in the world, and I will tell you that there's enormous competition for the performing arts centers. We will do maybe 60 shows this year. Now, I've been in buildings where we did 400 events in a year, but out of 20 or 30,000 artists who potentially you have to pick from, that leaves out quite a lot.
So how do you start? Do you say, I'm going to do so much Broadway, so much cabaret, so much classical, so much dance?
Yes.
And then say what fits into that category and what are other people doing and what can we afford, I suppose?
Well, exactly. I mean, you have to have economic responsibility. You can't, for instance, we could do Pavarotti, but I'd have to charge $300 a seat, and it's just not practical. And I wouldn't do that to my audience. From the standpoint of we need to find shows that are economical in nature, but yet very good in artistic merit. And sometimes you have to wait for the price to come down. Sometimes you have to get lucky. There are times when, we'll book a season and then look for opportunities within that season. So that if something goes on tour, a pop act, for instance, then we can take advantage and bring that into the theater, but not necessarily announce it at the beginning of our season.
You have to leave room for that. I'm always amazed when I see at a small, what I think is a small theater, that someone like Itzhak Perlman or Isaac Stern will be there. It must cost a fortune to do that, and I can't understand how they're able to do that. They obviously don't make money when they do that.
Well, it depends. Sometimes it makes sense because there's a whole bunch of dates around one particular date. In other words, let's say that Isaac Stern's on tour in New England, and a particular Monday happened to be available in which they did not have a booking, but they wanted to pick up a little more money into that week. So the artist may make it available to the theater for a lower fee on an off day, which makes it, for a smaller theater, possible to do the show.
You mentioned that you get thousands of submissions.
I do.
Since you're new to the area, how do they know that you're here? You having been in this business for all these years in various phases of the business, you were in the music business,
right.
So you've been around for so long. How do they know you're here?
It's like tom-toms. Honest, that I was getting phone calls from people I hadn't spoken with in 15 years from the Valley the day I accepted the job, and it hadn't even been public yet. There is, and I had scripts and submissions and shows on my desk 24 hours later.
Well, I saw the first announcement in the New York Times, and then the Gannett newspapers ran something, and that's how I knew you were here, and that's how we got together.
Right.
But, of course, that helps when you reach in the media, which reaching the audiences, of course, that are important, and that helped. And so what do you do? I mean, where does it go from there?
Well, there's a certain amount of networking, obviously. There aren't that many. There are probably 2,000 or 3,000 presenting theaters in the country. And there are, I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 to 600 agencies in the world, actually. And we all get together at conferences, and we all sort of know each other. And so it's a small world. And I'm part of the professional aspects of that world. And so word travels fast. And
the uniqueness of the audience and the location is something that you have to learn, I assume.
I believe so. I don't want to assume that, I know all my constituents and what they want at this point.
Are they different in different areas? As you were in Florida, you did some work in Hyde Park. So you've been around in many, many places. How do you put your finger on the pulse of the constituents, as you put it?
Well, a lot has to do with how the people of an area identify their community. I will tell you that I've rarely seen ownership like people have of Peekskill. People have been wonderful to me since I arrived. I get stopped on the street by absolutely I had no idea who these people are welcoming me and telling me they're glad I'm here and so on and so forth, and offering me some suggestions for programming, etc. No, I didn't find that in Orlando because people in Orlando have only been there for 5 years and are on their way out in another 5. So it's a very transitional city. Here, people really set down roots, and I believe that makes a huge difference in what they want for their community. I mean, that's why theaters like the Paramount have survived.
Yes.
And if you don't have a community that can do that, you don't have a theater that survives.
Good people tell me that I've talked to that a good board is essential and really the heart of doing what you do. Is fundraising an important part of what you do? Because the ticket sales, everybody says, only pays a portion of the cost.
No, I mean, fundraising is part of the job, and you have to balance a whole bunch of things. I mean, you can't bring in programming that nobody's interested in artistically,
right?
And expect not to. You have to have an audience.
Support is corporate support as well as community support.
You must have corporate and community. I mean, it has to go to all levels, and that's part of the ownership of culture in your community. And so I will raise money for the organization and look for sponsors but
you're used to doing that.
I am.
The kids are very important, building new audiences, and I know you have a gallery, you have a space nearby which is being worked on.
Yeah, there are plans in the not-too-distant future to expand the building. There's a Masonic temple next door, which the city also owns, and we have plans, or dreams, I should say at this stage, to expand the building to include that and to do a major overhaul. We're not too far away from putting those plans into real life.
How is it as a performing space? Has the stage got the depth and the backstage room?
We have difficulties, and I mean we have dressing room problems. The theater does not fly, which also limits us from the standpoint of big.
Explain that to the people.
Well, most like on Broadway or the big theaters like Eisenhower at West Point or SUNY Purchase. The theaters have rigging, ropes that haul the sets up and down so they disappear in between a scene. Well, we don't have that. Nothing goes up in the air. We have very good depth. We can put an 80-piece orchestra on that, but we basically have you go right up to the back wall. So we have some limitations, and in our expansion plans, we hope to correct some of those problems.
It sounds like you've got great opportunities within the limitations you have, and certainly with your experience and with the history and all that goes there. I know that this brochure is the latest brochure, and there'll be new ones. Films are covered in here as well.
Correct.
We ought to give a telephone number that people can get more information, get on the mailing list, find out what's happening. So why don't we now tell what that telephone number is? I know you're new there, so can't remember.
It's 914-739-2333.
In a little while, you'll know that number so well that it'll be tattooed on the inside of your eyelid. And we're going to put it up in the closing credits as well, so that people can write and get a copy of the brochure and find out what's happening. And there are all sorts of things that we haven't covered in here that are taking place, and children's program, TheaterWorks programs, and just looking through this, it's great. So I'm sure this is a great time for you, adventure. You're moving your family up.
I am, and this is sort of home base for us. My wife grew up in Scarsdale, and my son was born in Rhinebeck, and so we're sort of coming home.
Yeah. This is the place you want to be, is what it amounts to.
Yes, it is.
I'm sure that you don't only look into the near future, the next season, but you're looking off into the distant future as well. I guess you have to do that in what you're doing.
Yes, I mean, I'm thinking what's going to happen 3-5 years down the line, and that's just the beginning of the process. But part of it is building a foundation, and the theater is a great foundation to start, but let's see where else it can go.
I started by asking you what your vision was. You've covered some of that, but you just said something that was interesting. Let's see where it can go, because you really don't know where it's going to go.
I don't want to set limits on that.
What's going to tell you?
the reaction to programming, the reaction to just looking at ourselves and saying we can be whatever we want to be. And I have the nice opportunity of being naive enough to be able to say we can be anything we want to be.
The name itself, which you didn't pick, is Paramount Center for the Arts. It doesn't say limiting which of the arts. It's not the performing arts. It's all arts, really, and that opens up a great big world for you. And I just have a feeling that with the background that you're bringing here, that Peekskill with the Paramount Center is going to be the next important cultural center. I think they're very fortunate to have someone with your background and experience to take over, give a new vision and a new approach to it. I know it's challenging, but is it also a little overwhelming?
Well, it's always challenging, and I want it to be fun.
I think it will be fun, and we've had a lot of fun, and we've run out of time, believe it or not. So I thank you very much for coming and talking about the Paramount Center for the Arts. My guest today is John Loesser, who is the new executive director at the Paramount Center for the Arts in Peekskill. He's got wonderful plans for the future. A lot of things are going to be happening. I'm sure you're going to learn all about it. Send for material. Get on the mailing list. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. And until next week, enjoy yourself. This time as we explore places